Hello, everyone. Hope you had a nice weekend. Welcome back to another episode of the HR Leaders Podcast, the show where we explore the future of work with industry experts and HR executives in the world's leading global brands. Today, we have a very special early morning show for you all. I'm joined by Tim Munden, Chief Learning Officer at Unilever, and Emma Codd, who's a Global Inclusion Leader at Deloitte, to talk about the global business collaboration for better workplace mental health. Welcome, Tim and Emma. How are you both?
Really great, thank you. Lovely to be with you again, Chris.
Nice to see you both again. How was your weekend? Did you enjoy the snow?
It was wonderful, very cold and still freezing outside as well.
Nice. It was the first time my daughter saw the snow, so it was like quite a cool moment to see her run outside and just be like amazed. You know, it's like, you know, actually, it sounds quite sad, but it brought a tear to my eye. My wife was like, "Why have you got tears in your eyes?" I was like, "I have no idea why I'm so emotional," but she was just running around in the snow and just full of joy. So
it's a great thing. It's nothing like a bit of snow to make people happy.
Yeah, until everyone starts complaining. It's like the initial few hours of enjoying it and everyone's like, "Oh, it's too cold." I was like, okay, make your mind up. But before we go any further, tell everyone a little bit more about the global business collaboration for better workplace mental health. I'll kind of start with you, Tim.
Thank you. So this is a really exciting day launching the global business collaboration. I think there's a few things that are unique about this. This is a campaign led by businesses globally to improve the levels of workplace mental health in businesses, workplaces across the world. Business led because we think we need to take responsibility, but also we think we know best what can work. And the goal of it is basically to lift that level of workplace mental health, to lift the care everywhere around the world. And we're going to do that by sharing good practices, but also by getting businesses to sign a pledge. We want the CEOs of companies all around the world to sign a pledge about workplace mental health. We believe that the workplace is a great place to address mental health. I know that from my own experience. When you struggle, your workplace is a place where you notice it, and it's a place where you really can and need great support. So we think by working globally as businesses, we can make a unique contribution to improving the world's mental health.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, it's so exciting. Tim and I this has been a labour of love for a very long time. It's difficult to actually think that we're here this morning and the pledge is out there ready for people to sign up to. There are 6 founding partners, so Unilever, Deloitte, HSBC, Clifford Chance, BHP and Salesforce, and there will be more founding partners that will be involved. And then it's really looking for any organisation. You do not have to be global. We as global organisations have taken a lead on this just because, you know, we at Deloitte, we're in over 150 countries around the world. And there have been other initiatives and fantastic workplace initiatives and a huge amount of incredible work done by organisations like City Mental Health Alliance and others, and who are working very closely with us on this and play a very important part. And we all decided this needs something that is global and globally consistent where we can get that. And therefore, as global organisations have a reach across so many of these countries, that where mental health is just not even on the agenda at the moment, as Tim said, you know, we believe that we can really help to bring about much needed change.
Mm-hmm. Well, why launch this initiative now?
Well, so the world's mental health is under unprecedented pressure. And that's showing itself in every field, but it shows itself in the workplace. Emma can talk about this more because she has the authority on it, but the Deloitte research shows that between 40 and 50% of millennials and Gen Zs are experiencing stress or anxiety most or all of the time. That's a third of the current workforce, rising to 2/3 in the next 10 years. So I think there are generational reasons. There are moments, there's the moment we're in now. And I think what we're seeing is in some places around the world, workplace mental health in general is really on the agenda, which is great. But there are some places in the world where it's not on the agenda, where the stigma and taboo is still extraordinarily strong, preventing people from getting help, preventing people from staying in the workplace. And particularly at a time like that, we've got to address that. In a sense, if you take the really big view, many of us as companies are signed up for the Sustainable Development Goals. But those aren't going to succeed unless we can meet the world's need for good mental health. And as I say, the workplace is a great place for that. So the world needs this now, Chris.
Yeah, and just to tell you a little bit more about that millennial survey, if that's helpful, and for people that haven't seen it, I would really recommend you go online. I hope I'm giving you the right website. I think it's at Deloitte.com. And we publish this millennials research every year. And this year, last year, 2020, we actually decided, because mental health is such a priority for us as an organisation, for the first time, we put very detailed questions in there on mental health. And as Tim said, it is shocking, staggering finding that, around half millennials of Generation Z feel stressed or anxious almost the time. Now, if you translate that into my own organisation, that's around 80% of our workforce globally. So, wow. This can't be ignored. And then there were some other findings that were really interesting that just serve to highlight how important it is we address this now. Around half of the respondents on the survey ranked mental health as their first or second priority in life, second only to physical health. So that shows how important it is. Not only are people feeling more stressed and more anxious, and I have to say I count myself amongst that, given the circumstances that we're all living under at the moment. But this is a really high priority for them. And then when you look at what contributes to that, look, there's all the things that you would imagine would contribute to it. So it's things like climate change, and it's stuff I think that we feel that we can make a small difference on ourselves, but actually some of it feels like it's outside our control. Family welfare, as I said, climate change, healthcare, a lot of the big things that we all think about and worry about. But there were two things from a workplace perspective that actually are within our gift to deal with that make a really big difference when it comes to the respondents' mental health. The first one is balancing work and life. And the second one is not feeling comfortable to be your authentic self at work. Now, if you put that into the context of all the organisations that have been talking about diversity and inclusion for many years, well, it shows we've still got a long way to go. And then finally, the very depressing statistic is when it comes down to stigma, and I know we can talk more about this in a moment, but despite quite a large number of the respondents basically saying, actually, it's okay to take time off work for stress and anxiety, which is obviously we think, that's a good thing, around half of those gave a different reason to their employer. And so, it shows that despite the work that's being done, there is still so much more to do, and in particular around stigma. In the workplace. And that's within all our gift. We start talking about this, we normalise the conversation, we have our leaders talking about it, then we can start to make a real difference.
Yeah, shocking research. And I know firsthand how that feels. There were weeks and months in my previous employer that I just didn't come in and didn't tell anyone why. I was couldn't leave the house. Every time I would kind of try and leave, I felt like I was having an anxiety attack and didn't know what was wrong, didn't know who to turn to. And it felt like I just couldn't speak to my employer because I'd be overlooked for that opportunity or seen as weak and inferior. And in fact, actually was one of the contributions that led me to leave that business and start this company. Because I just didn't feel like I would have that support in any business, which is very sad to say. And it was only during my conversation with Tim, 6 months ago, that I finally started talking about it with my own employees and family and friends. So I know firsthand the impact that can have as well. Despite kind of all of the well-intended approaches companies are taking, why are so many employers struggling to support their staff?
I think there's a few things in there, Chris. So one is that people don't necessarily know what to do. And so this is a reason why the global business collaboration is being set up. Is one of our key goals is to start to share the well-researched, evidence-supported practices that help. And again, why this is business-led is because we want to be sharing between us, businesses all around the world, large and small, what we know works, working with fantastic partners like the Wellcome Trust, like City Mental Health Alliance, like mine. So I think one of the things that get in the way is is even if you want to do something as a business leader, knowing what to do. We want to help with that. The second thing is that there are many countries and there are many places, workplaces all around the world, that the experience that you've had is common. It's stigmatized. So we need to try and advocate for lifting that stigma and to talk about it. And you and I have a shared experience here. I have experienced post-traumatic stress in my life. I've been off work again recently, just in fact coming back because I needed to take time to deal with it, because it's something I found very difficult to deal with whilst working. I'm blessed. I work for an extraordinarily supportive employer who understands that this is something that in the end is going to help me to make a better contribution, and actually I think just cares about me as a human being. We think every business should be creating that kind of atmosphere. Everyone in a workplace should feel cared for as a human being. So I think it's, amongst other things, those two things. It's knowing what to do, and it's really understanding that how commonplace this is as a business leader, and that you need to create the space for people, as Emma said, to show up authentically, and that you will only benefit as a business if you do so. That I think is the real breakthrough, for people to understand their businesses will be more successful when people are able to show up fully themselves. On wherever they are on the spectrum of mental health. Businesses will be more creative, more inclusive, more attractive, more productive, more innovative. And so there's a business case to this as well.
And I completely agree with everything that Tim said there. And look, just to add, I remember when I used to have a role with Deloitte UK as the managing partner for talent there. And I remember when we started embarking down this road, and look, we are a big organisation, and we have a lot, big infrastructure, but actually the things that, there's an array of stuff out there, and there's loads of shiny things, and there's, even now there are people in my organisation that are coming to me and showing me apps and all sorts of things, and I'm quite a basic person in that. And a lot of the progress that we made around inclusion and mental health was actually around just being more human. And that's one thing I really want to emphasize is, the best practice that we're going to be sharing isn't just things that you need a huge wallet or a big infrastructure. Some of the things, when I think about the UK and what we did, I remember we took part in the Mind Index, and I remember that one of the really terrible scores was that many of our people didn't believe that our leaders would know when to spot that they were suffering from mental health or would know how to deal with it. Now, yes, we did some mental health first aid around that, but actually a big focus for us was focusing on leadership and just being human and learning to listen. And you think about the work-life balance stat that we just heard, the big contributors to this in the workplace. And actually, everyone has policies, but unless their leader is open, unless their leader actually takes steps to encourage it, then, you're not going to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could you talk about the 6-point leadership pledge and share more about that with everyone?
Yes. So I think that the pledge is really at the heart of what we're trying to get to today and in our launch. And I think it's a really great, really simple pledge, which I'm sure is going to really make a difference. So the point of the pledge is that it begins with the CEO kind of making this, a senior leader making this on behalf of the organization. So the first thing is that they're committing to developing and delivering an action plan to support good mental health in the organization. So the pledge step number one is create an action plan. And as Emma said, that is not necessarily about huge expense. There are some very simple, basic things that can be done. Second thing is about promoting an open culture around mental health, eliminating stigma. We've talked about that. If you have an action plan and you're starting to put support in place, it's critical that you make it possible for people to be more open about their mental health. And the third part then is about actively developing the culture so that we can create positive mental health and reduce mental ill health. There's an important point here, Chris. Everybody has mental health. It's just a question of where on the spectrum of healthy to less healthy are we? And of course, that varies hugely over our lifetimes. So we want to be creating places that are actively creating positive mental health. And there are, as Emma said, basic leadership things that can help here. Listening, empowerment, flexible goal setting, listening to people's kind of issues and being open as a line manager. These things don't cost a fortune. So that's the third piece of it. Emma, do you want to take the next three?
I would if I had them in front of me.
So empowering all our people to manage and prioritise their own health is the next one.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, for those that are dialing in, I had to move rooms at the last minute.
Yes,
I left every piece of paperwork. That's going to be one of the classic bloopers, isn't it?
No worries. It's early in the morning on a Monday that we're there about.
Tim, do you want to just pick up the rest, and then I'll just talk about leadership and the importance of that?
So the fourth one is about empowering all our people to manage and prioritise their own mental health and to support each other. Now, this is massively powerful. This is something that Unilever's working on right now as part of our programmes. Training mental health champions who aren't counsellors, they're not therapists, but they're trained to listen and to help. And a lot of organisations have tried that. But this is an example of how we can create strength in the community to support each other. But also empower people to manage their own mental health and give them the space to do that. The fifth is about signposting people to the tools and support they need. So let's make it as easy as possible for people to find support. And by the way, that's not just support provided by the company. And again, to just try and emphasize, this is not about a standard that only companies that can invest a lot can keep to, because there are lots of tools and resources out in the world that we can signpost to. And Emma and I kind of sit based in the UK, and we have the amazing Mental Health at Work Gateway created to support kind of UK-based businesses. But we need those in more countries, and there are resources in many other countries that people can access free. So supporting people to find tools. And then the sixth is measuring regularly what we do. Being open about progress and to influence change beyond our organizations. So regularly measuring is massively important. Unless you really measure whether what you're doing is working, we do that in everything else in business. We measure it. So there's a commitment to measurement. And at its most simple, this is about your sickness absence data, or it could be private health insurance data. It could be an opinion survey. So there's actually relatively easy ways of getting data and then sharing it. And that is also sharing what doesn't work. Because it's really critical, I think, if we're going to make this difference around the world, is that we are open about what works and what doesn't. We go find the evidence for what's working. And also that we're very clear that sometimes things don't go well. And I think the other important thing here is that, Emma and I from Deloitte and Unilever and other founding partners, we're under no illusion that we still have more work to do. We're not for a minute claiming we're perfect. I think what we are saying is we're committed, and we know we're going to be our best when we work together.
Yeah, and just to add a few things around that, I mean, from a measurement perspective, I've always found that just, for HR leaders who are listening or watching this, one of the things that I've always found incredibly powerful is the measurement for me is about measuring where you are at the moment as well. So yes, you want to measure progress, but it's also about measuring it so that you can show any business leader that might be a little bit skeptical about why should I do this? I mean, when we focused on work-life balance a few years ago, I had a number. I calculated the cost of replacement for everybody that we had lost due to work-life balance or, culture, as in, non-inclusive culture. And it gave me a £68 million number that I was able to throw out in every conversation. And I've always had sort of two strands to my approach. The first one is show them the money. The second one is the heartstrings, and actually to appeal to the human side of things. And so I would say for those that are just starting out in this, there's some really good data that you will already have. And that data, by the way, it's not difficult. Assuming you capture some level of exit data, it's not too difficult to get your hands on. And then when it comes to the business case, and again, just building on that a little bit, there's some really good information out there. There's the Deloitte Mind report that was issued. I think we published it back in January 2020, which gets quoted a lot. It's refreshing the case for investment in mental health. And, the finding that they came up with, that poor mental health costs UK employers 45 billion a year. And then they look at the return on investment. It's a fantastic report if you haven't looked at it. And this is not me doing a sell for our reports. It's really good data. Return on investment, for every pound spent, you get £5 back in reduced absence. So there is data out there that when you're building that start line, because I recognise that for some people that are watching this, Tim and I are really lucky. We have employers and leaders that get this. And I get that we need to be proactively focusing on this, but I recognise that there are others that may not be in that situation at the moment. So it's almost finding that data and then obviously measuring your progress as well. And then the other thing I just wanted to add was, Tim mentioned that this is a pledge signed by your leader. So whether it's the CEO, a general manager, it's whoever is the most senior in your organisation, and there's a good reason for that. And that's because we know that any organisation that wants to bring about meaningful change, it has to be led from the top. They have to walk the talk. We have deliberately kept the pledge high level, but it contains the 6 things, as Tim said, that we know make a difference. So we've brought in, whatever evidence base we could find. We've consulted with experts on this. And so, these are 6 things that leaders can commit to do. And they don't have to do, we're not talking about doing it by next week, but we're talking about, as Tim said, coming up with a plan and then actually working on that plan. So what are the steps? We, interestingly, later on this week, we're introducing a mental health baseline in 150 countries in which we operate. We've never done that before. I mean, it's huge. We have some parts of our organisation that are very advanced on the maturity curve. I would call, the UK, the US, Australia, and we have others that it just hasn't even appeared. And so we've got a baseline, and then we have a huge amount of guidance that we've been so lucky that we've been able to draw upon best practice from our friends, from organisations like Unilever and others, where we're able to see, look, what's worked, what hasn't. And we've built that into guidance that will then go out to all parts of our organisation. And so I would say, and we've built that around the pledge, because the pledge makes complete sense if you want to have success. Incredible.
Do you want to add anything to that, Tim?
Yeah, I suppose I'm conscious of the audience you draw, and is an audience of HR practitioners of around the world, different kinds of organisation. I would just say this, that this is an opportunity for your organisation to have a conversation in itself, whether you're on the journey already or just starting. The pledge can help you with your business leader, to take that conversation forwards. It's a chance to put your company's name out there in the world and hold hands with businesses and organisations, workplaces around the world, and say, we care about this. Now is because we know the world is struggling with its mental health because of the effects of this virus, the pandemic, the economic consequences of that. We know that is bringing more issues of mental ill health into the workplace. We're seeing more post-traumatic stress in workplaces than ordinarily we would do. So now is a great moment to do it. And what we will all get out of this is a bigger and bigger community across which we can share good practices, take action, and make a difference.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, thank you so much. And I'm super excited. Today's the launch day. So congratulations. And for everyone listening, this is something been, a year in the making, right? This isn't something you've just launched out of nowhere. For everyone, this is, you've done a lot of work in this. And for people that do want to pledge, how do they go about pledging? What does that look like? And also kind of what support can they expect once they do pledge?
So should I start with that? So the pledge is on the website. Which I think maybe we can share. I think
it's already in the chat. So for everyone listening, if wherever you're listening, or if you're not live, it's also in the chat. So whatever platform you're on right now, click in the link in the description. It will be there. below. So you can pledge there.
So that's the place to start. You'll find the pledge there. You'll find how to make the pledge. There's a place where you can sign up and share your details with us. And so it starts with that pledge. And then by becoming involved, we can then share information. And this is going to grow. I mean, we're starting today. We're starting with a number of founding partners, others coming on board. But the power of getting involved now is this. One of the things that I'm really keen to see happen is that we start to connect people in different locations. So we have global businesses trying to kind of shape this with expert partners that we've talked about. You'll see more about them on the website. But the power will be when in a particular city or region, businesses come together and say, right, let's in Shanghai or in Dakar, let's work together to lift the level of mental health in our workplaces here, drawing on the resources that we all have. That will be the power. So for us to know where people are, we'd like you to get to the website, take the pledge, get involved, and join the movement.
Yeah, and just to add to that, as Tim said, this is just the beginning. So the website, if you go on there, we are populating that at the moment. We have been working very hard to get to set up on this, and now it's a case of, on a rolling basis, it will be updated with information. We are going to be sharing all of our stories in terms of what we've done, what we found that's worked, what we found that hasn't been so successful. And please know that a lot of that, whilst we are large organisations, a lot of what we will be sharing will be the sort of thing that you can do regardless of the size of your organisation. So please don't just think this is for a large global organisation that has huge resources.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that has worked the best has been the sort of thing that any organisation should be able to do. But we're all really excited about what we can achieve. Go onto the website and then keep checking the website. Please do encourage your leader to sign up and to take action.
And on that point, if you're listening right now, make sure you tag in your CEO, your CHRO. If you're listening wherever you are, make sure you tag in your senior leadership team. They need to hear this. And, it's such an incredible, rich amount of resources from all of the organizations we've mentioned, and we want to obviously grow this together. Together we're stronger. And Tim and Emma, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'm super excited for the launch of this, and obviously we'll do everything we can on our end to support this incredible initiative. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the time.
No problem. For everyone listening, thanks for tuning as always on Monday morning. Make sure you hit like, comment, share it. As I said before, tag in all of your colleagues, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the next show. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks, Emma.
Cheers.
Bye for now. Okay, we're off air. And we're off air. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry about the play. I realised I left the pledge wording